Happy Wellness Wednesday, everyone. This is Brian, the botanist at Live Ultimate. And today, my special guest is Melissa Vargas. We're going to talk about mushrooms and brain health. So, standing by for my guest, Melissa. How are you guys all doing this week? Drinking my shrooms latte, little shot of espresso with mushrooms. What's up, guys? Cheers. Happy Wednesday. Good to see a lot of my friends on. How's everyone feeling? You got a lot of energy? You feeling healthy? Here comes my guest, Melissa Vargas. Mellow. Melissa, good morning.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good, it's going good. It's a pretty nice day.
Awesome. It's good. One of my friends just said he had his shroom coffee. Nice. Thanks, Andres.
Nice.
I know that's what I'm drinking right now too, because we're about to have a really great conversation. So mushrooms are always a great pair for brain health, as we're going to talk about today. So my guest today is Melissa Vargas. Melissa, how do you spell your Instagram? I'm going to type in your Instagram handle.
It's mellow, so it's M-E 3 L's and then O0OW. If you want, I can put it.
O0OW. Okay, I'm going to type it in, and then you tell me if I got it right. Melissa Vargas.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to introduce you properly in a second. Just check my spelling here. All right.
Yeah, you did. Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, so people can follow you at the link below. Special guest today is Melissa Vargas, who's a Live Ultimate Ambassador and a neuropsychology graduate. What college did you recently graduate from, Melissa?
From UCF, from University of Central Florida.
Okay. Is that in Tampa? I forgot.
No, it's in Orlando.
Oh, it's in Orlando? Okay, my bad. I'm not from Florida originally.
No, you're good.
I need to claim ignorance.
I think Tampa's University of South Florida, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Right? It really doesn't.
No.
Or Southern, yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's awesome. So you graduated what year from UCF?
This year, so I graduated
Wow.
in May, which is funny.
Wow. Okay, congratulations. Yeah, so you were one of the first to graduate during this new era.
Yeah.
Okay, well, today, guys, my guest is Melissa Vargas for Wellness Wednesday, and we were just talking about the fact that she just graduated from UCF in neuropsychology, and today she wants to talk with us about how she loves Ultimate Shrooms and all the Live Ultimate products, and also how she's been looking into how they affect your brain health, and I think psychology, mood. So we'll get into all that today. So Melissa, let's get started with tell us a little bit about your health journey. That's one of the first questions I always ask guests is, what got you started in wellness? Because, we're a wellness company and a beauty company. What was there something in your life, or how did your journey start and how has it gone up to this point? You're a very young woman, so I assume you still are in your early years.
Yeah, I'm 24, and I mean, I've always been like, I love yoga, dancing. I studied psychology and neuroscience and biology in school, so I was always like, studying it. And then particularly like the superfoods with the mushrooms, it was this year when I graduated and, I moved back home and I was like, I wasn't working. So I was like sleeping all day, just like in a slump. And like, I started taking the elixir and I felt like my body was like ignited, really. Like I felt like it really did get me out of bed. And like with the mushrooms, it was just like a double.
Wow.
It was the power, it was
Yeah.
the power couple. Yeah. So I felt the effects. I have so many of coworkers and friends like that work in Live Ultimate or friends that take the mushrooms that say like they can feel the neurons being fired in their brain, and you really can. So that was how I came across that. I was just like sleeping all day, and it restarted like my body, I feel.
So one of your friends shared it with you?
Yeah.
Okay,
and
cool.
I started taking it with the mushrooms. I think I took the mushrooms first, like a lot more than the elixir, until I realized, I should probably take the elixir every day.
So you were initially really, the mushrooms really were powerful in the sense that you felt them so much, and the elixir is something more that's like daily cleansing, daily detoxifying. It's not as strong of a energy boost, but still it's an energy boost. So had you ever taken other superfoods before, like maca or spirulina or wheatgrass, ginger? Were you like a herbal gerbil, or were you more of a standard American diet?
Like, I had, but every now and then, not like not daily. Like not a
Were you
part of my
juicing
diet.
and stuff, or I mean, did you like the taste? I mean, you seem like you would like the taste of the mushrooms. Some people don't like them,
Yeah,
the
I
taste, but
love
not many.
both
But some people say
super.
that they don't like they have to cover it up. But same thing with the elixir. But overall, people love the taste. It's very neutral.
Yeah, I love both. And now I'm putting it in juices and more things like that, the elixir. And the mushrooms, yeah, I put like a little bit of coffee and oat milk, just put the mushrooms in there and, it's great. I love it. And
Cool.
it's great to take something that actually like regenerates your brain and your body rather
Yes.
than like deplete it.
Yeah. True. These are superfoods, so they're not just rice, which rice
Yeah.
is not bad. But rice is a whole other story. We can get down a long rabbit hole with rice, even with heavy metals and stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll stay on topic today, which is brain health. So you studied neuropsychology. Tell us what that is. It sounds really, intense.
Yeah. So I studied psychology with the specialization in neuroscience, and I had to take I took neuropsychology. I took a class called perception, which was super cool. Like I remember that class, and you literally just learn about like how we perceive like your senses and like physiologically speaking and like psychologically speaking as well. Um, and neuropsychology itself is like the study of helping people with brain illnesses and damaged things like that. That's
Okay.
what the
So like
field is.
Alzheimer's and Parkinson's even?
Yeah, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
um so that's what that is. I just graduated from undergrad from UCF like this year, so I have
Okay.
to see like where it all takes me, but I love the field.
Yeah.
I love
Are you
neuro. It's
thinking about
actually,
grad school or are you thinking about going in the field to do an internship or
I think, yeah, thinking going in the field doing an internship and then maybe grad school, but we'll
okay,
see.
cool.
Um, but I've always been into it. Like I started the neuroscience club at UCF. So like for 2 years
What
I
is
was
that? What's a neuroscience club? It sounds dorky but fun.
it's called the Neuroscience Alliance. I bet we
Lines?
Neuroscience Alliance.
Alliance. Okay. Even dorkier.
It is. But it was
Did you guys
cool.
have shirts and everything or
What?
did you have like a shirt or anything or was there a
A
how did you
shirt? Is
guys
that
know
what you
yeah, did
asked?
you guys know you're in a club? How did
Yeah,
you wear
we had shirts. We have shirts. I mean, they have shirts, I'm sure, but
yeah,
yeah.
that would be cool to have on a shirt that you're part of the Neuropsych Alliance.
Yeah, we had shirts. It was cool.
Okay, cool. So you were the leader of that. You created it. So that shows nice leadership actually to as a young age, right? To
Yeah, it was super
you
cool. I
started
don't
that
know.
club. Is it
I
still going in your absence now or
Yeah, it's still going.
okay.
And there just was no neuroscience like anything at UCF.
No
So
clubs. Okay.
yeah, no clubs and no, it wasn't a major or minor either, like neuroscience itself. So that's why the track got added, and I was able to graduate with that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So now that you're done with school, you found Live Ultimate. You're an entrepreneur here. Are you tell us a little bit about being an entrepreneur with Live Ultimate and how you found the company before we jump into the big topic of brain health.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us how you found the company, what products you love, people you want to shout out.
Yeah. So it was around, yeah, when I graduated around May, then I moved back here to South Florida. Started taking the mushrooms, the elixir. I was like, wow, like I just received the direct benefit of these amazing products. And it's funny because we say products, but like I think of it as like, yeah,
Yeah,
like all the superfoods and the super greens, like all the 25 superfoods and super greens it has is amazing.
the elixir is a better, I mean, yeah, product sounds so, like
Yeah.
manufactured instead
um,
of grown. Yep.
so then, yeah, so since I received the direct benefits and I was transitioning from college and everything, I'm like, why would I not invest in this and be a part of this? And it's been an amazing journey. Part of Allie's team, Allie and Aaron have helped me so much.
Oh,
Having
wow.
them and everyone really like
Yeah.
the CEO, Mark, the CEO has been amazing. It's just nice to like know.
Wow. That's so cool. You get to work with the CEO. I mean, that's still something that shocks me because you usually don't get to work with a CEO directly of a company as,
Exactly. Like you can
as,
literally call him and he'll
yeah.
help you, and that is such an amazing. It's like a privilege. It's a good thing.
And Allie and Aaron are awesome. They're at the top of our leadership. And I was on a call yesterday with Aaron to celebrate his 2 years of sobriety. And it was like 100 people on this Zoom call, and everyone told them how much we love him. So it was pretty
Wow,
powerful.
that's awesome.
But yeah, anyways, back to your story. So you found the products in May, and then you joined Allie's team. So you're on one of our strongest teams, women driven. And have you recruited anyone to join your team yet
Yeah, I
and
just
work directly
started.
with you? Yeah.
I just expanded my team last month. A health coach from Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this amazing woman from Colorado. We connected through the internet, and she loved the products. She wants to implement it as like part of her health
How did
coaching.
you meet her?
It was through LinkedIn. We just connected.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it
So you
was
made a
awesome.
friendship through LinkedIn. That's
Yeah, and we
cool.
got on a call, and yeah,
Okay.
it was cool. She
So
was
that's
like the most
the
receptive to
start of
everything.
your team, and you're very young. Can you see yourself building a big team with Live Ultimate? Do you see yourself more in the research end? How do you see yourself with Live Ultimate in the next couple of years?
I want to definitely like expand my team and grow that, and I think both. Like I'm
Because
gonna
you've
look
seen
for
what Allie has done. Allie and Aaron have built very big teams, right? Do you
yeah.
feel like that's calling to you, or do you feel like do it slowly or build slowly? But do you feel like you want to manage a team and be a leader? Or do you feel more like I'm kind of a researcher, but I like teams too.
Yeah, I would say like I think build slowly, I guess. Like so it's
Hmm.
like the right people are joining my team, and like and it's aligned
Cool.
with my vision and their vision, and we're working together. But um yeah, so far it's been an amazing journey. I mean, definitely Ali and Aaron are super inspiring, and a lot of everyone on working with Live Ultimate is super inspiring and passionate. So
Hmm.
that's awesome because that's just like a motivating to see friends that are
Yeah.
leveling up and hitting. She just hit gold, right? So hitting
Hmm.
these things, you can do it too.
Yeah, I remember when she joined 2 or 3 years ago, she was still in college and she graduated college like a year ago and she took it so seriously when she graduated. And she is still having so much fun with it without it being serious. It's just that she's
Yeah,
focused on leadership and on self-development and on cutting through the BS and on just really speaking on the benefits and just being true to herself and just living a healthy life. So it's fun to see people. We're such a young company and there's so much room for growth. So
yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
also what's
fun to.
exciting.
Yeah,
There's
we
so
have all ages too. We have people ambassadors from 20 to 70. So
yeah.
it's really cool to see and a lot of friendships. So any other shout outs you want to give during our shout out segment before we jump into the and any.
Really, just the
Yeah.
whole fam.
Okay. You already gave a bunch of good shout outs to Mark Wachter, our CEO, to Allie and Aaron, a couple other people. So what about the skincare? Do you have any quick comments about our skincare line
The skincare is amazing.
or
It's
skin
just
nutrition? We call it.
I can't
You know.
even believe that. Like, yeah, that it's direct, like super fruits and veggies that you're putting on your skin. So
Yeah.
that's been that's been super different for me. And it's funny because I wouldn't really put anything on my skin because I would get I would get red or something, like I'd get irritated and like all the chemicals. I would just wash my face with like literally water. Like I wouldn't do anything. And my skin was okay, but I knew I had like dry skin. Like a lot of
Hmm.
dermatologists and people have told me like
So you
you
never had like a skin cream you really fell in love with as a teenager or in your college years?
maybe like yeah, I'm from Colombia, so we would go to Colombia and get like nice creams from there. So those,
Okay.
but I was like I wasn't I didn't like it wasn't my thing.
You weren't researching it. You didn't have a skincare line you loved as a young woman. Okay.
Um, yeah, so then when I found these, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And you just like feel the direct, like you feel
Hmm.
it instantly too. So
Nourishing you. Yeah, I just put the
yeah,
Kamo Advanced all over my face and the Illuminate, and I use a lot of the serum when I use it, and I love the way, I'm in my 40s. I love the way it makes my skin feel. I can feel it like just instantly like hydrating me, and also
yeah,
like
exactly.
otherwise you just feel dry, and men don't realize at first, but dry skin is annoying, and no one wants dry skin, you know.
Yeah, no, like
Why? Yeah, once you have healthy skin, you're like, wow, what was I missing out on all these years? But
exactly. And it
you
and it
also
is
have
a part of your
such. Yeah.
like
Sorry, go
self
ahead.
care. No, I
Yeah,
was just saying, yeah, it's part
and
of
your
it.
psychology, which we're going to get into too, self love, self care. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that you're new to the company and that you love the product so much. And you're just have a lot of room for growth here as a young person. So, with a
Thank you.
recent college graduate, as well. So you have a lot of opportunity as an entrepreneur to, keep following your, these what we're about to jump into now. Let's talk about it. So what is your big focus for like studying recently? Tell us about what you've been looking into.
So when I got into like when I started taking the products, I know I read that like the elixir helps with fatigue and um boosting your mood, and obviously that's going to be linked to your brain. And then the mushrooms as well. Mushrooms are incredibly good for your brain. It's crazy. Um and I was reading on it, and we have the ultimate shrooms, which has the 8 medicinal mushrooms. And I was reading, and some of the best mushrooms are lion's mane, reishi, and cordyceps for your brain.
Hmm.
We have in our blend. Um, and I just like, it's crazy how different mushrooms, like lion's mane helps with, repairing damaged neurons. So lion's mane could help people with like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and illnesses. So
Like mild cognitive, what do they call it? Mild cognitive uh, dysfunction, basically, where
yeah,
like your brain starts to get foggy, memory and concentration get weak. Um, Mood is boosted, they say, through the mushrooms.
yeah,
But I know with lion's mane, as long as we're starting off on this one, I've read about nerve growth factor, and it boosts your nerve growth factor in your brain, which helps to produce, like you were saying, new
that's
neuron growth.
yeah.
And so by like something significant, over 10%, up 15% or something, I remember reading. But there's more and more studies. Have you seen any recent studies? I haven't had a chance to do recent research on this topic. Have
No,
you?
I haven't seen recent studies, but I have, it's interesting. I have thought about like with the whole COVID thing, since I've read that sometimes it messes with people's senses, like people lose their sense of their taste or smell. I wonder if like the taking the mushrooms every day would just help like
Sure.
regenerate.
Yeah, I wished when they were talking about all those things like remdesivir, I wish they were talking about cordyceps instead. I
Yeah,
wish someone would have said in the news cordyceps. They could still do it, a politician. If they said cordyceps one time, the world would go nuts because cordyceps is so, sorry, there's an alarm going off in the background. Hopefully you can't hear that. Okay, I've got
it's
the
okay.
headset on. Okay,
Yeah,
fire
cordyceps is
alarm.
also really good too.
Cordyceps, yeah, let's jump into cordyceps because it's primarily known as an athlete's mushroom, but it also
Hmm.
boosts lung function. There's studies that show it really helps your lungs, to have more health or more, what's the word, function. And they actually had a COVID related study to that this summer that came out. But tell us about what you've learned about cordyceps in the brain, because I know it boosts ATP production and it boosts oxygenation of your muscles and your stamina and performance as an athlete. But how does it help the brain? Is it is it part of the? Sorry, I'll let you.
No,
What
you're
have you
good.
found? Yeah.
I it's the same as you. Like I read that it was like the like kind of like the athletic mushroom because I think it give
And the
it
mushroom of like fertility and
yeah, it like
longevity.
oxygenates the blood too, I
Hmm.
believe. Um, and from the beta glucans, like it from beta glucans like boosts the energy, like boosts energy, brain energy as well. Remember reading like the beta glucan specifically, which delivers oxygen to the blood. Like it would oxygenate the blood. That's what I remember
Hmm.
reading on cordyceps. And it is cordyceps the mushroom of immortality. That's the one.
That's reishi.
That's reishi.
That's how
Okay.
reishi is known. Reishi is like the most studied mushroom in the world. It is. It's literally they mapped its genome. I did a podcast one time on reishi, um, and reishi definitely. So these mushrooms, they cross the blood-brain barrier. That was a big question I have. Have you looked into that? Because I know caffeine. I have a little espresso in my hand right now. There's a couple of things like L-theanine that's in green tea. I take L-theanine on a nearly daily basis for anxiety and stress.
Mm-hmm.
CBD, all these compounds cross the blood-brain barrier. Do mushrooms cross the blood-brain barrier? Because I thought they do,
I
but I
think
don't have any
they
hard
do.
science on it.
I'm not sure. I think they do as well. Um, I'm not sure if they cross the blood-brain barrier, to be honest. But I would think they
Wouldn't
would.
surprise me if they do, because that's how you get such quick, release of the effect.
I was
Um,
about to say that, like, because you get
yeah,
such direct benefits. Yeah.
they must cross the blood-brain barrier. There are not a lot of things. Alcohol crosses the blood-brain barrier. Obviously caffeine. Chemicals that are, you know,
Yeah.
that help to stimulate. Probably things like cayenne too, because cayenne is a powerful stimulant. Now mushrooms aren't a stimulant, but they're an adaptogen. So, but the
Yeah.
Chinese knew that they helped with the brain so much. Chinese medicine has a lot of information about how they boost your brain, specifically of longevity. But that's what we're talking about, is preventing degenerative, issues like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and
Yeah.
even dementia, or of course dementia. And let's just talk about just, your brain. That's what, people need help with, right? As they get, into older ages, is their brain health. I think you're right, more than their
Yeah.
body health. I mean, body health too, but brain health is so important, because if you don't have your brain, you don't have your memories, you don't have your muscle
Exactly.
movement, because your brain controls your nervous system and your muscles. So um, I'm really sorry. There's a fire alarm going off nonstop in my building, and it's driving me nuts. It's been going off for 5 minutes now. I'm about to go see what's going on, because they're doing testing this week, but at 10 a.m. for half an hour.
Yeah, I remember yesterday I reading
Yeah.
that they were doing testing all week. So
Ay,
it's
ay,
probably,
ay. Sorry about
yeah,
that. It's
it's
it's not
okay.
helping my wellness to have this mad fire alarm going off in the background. And I know the building's not on fire. It's like, all right, you're
um,
disrupting my flow on mushrooms here, but hey, we're staying on topic. So mushrooms and brain, they're
yeah,
known to boost brain performance. They boost athletic performance. They boost fertility. They basically boost you in every way possible. So they're an adaptogen. What other things have you learned about mushrooms that have fascinated you?
oh, there's also similarities in like mycelial networks and like how they work with like how the brain works.
Very
Like,
true.
I remember reading on that, just
Yep.
because they are so, like mushrooms are the way trees
They
communicate.
communicate. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a mycorrhizal association. I learned about that in botany school when I took fungi classes. Yeah, that's anything else you wanted to add on that? I think it's really cool, because I guess like they warn trees when like, predators are coming in, like ants and other types of insects, and the trees provide is it nitrogen from or from the photosynthesis process? I believe the trees provide nitrogen, because the mushrooms
Yeah.
don't photosynthesize. They're not a plant. They're in
Yeah.
between a plant and an animal, which is also fascinating, because they
Mhm.
interact in our genes, I guess, differently than other foods. And
Yeah.
that's one thing they found when they mapped reishi, and they also mapped, I think, genome mapped shiitake, I believe, and then like the basic like button mushroom, I think, if I remember correctly. But,
Yeah.
and they, I mean, reishi has
That
like
stuff is super fascinating.
thousands of genes or something. I think like 1 or 2 thousand genes in it. It's crazy. It's it's the mushroom of immortality, Ling Zi. That's probably one of the biggest ones that could also help with brain health. Um,
Yeah. I remember Reishi, the way that it balances your hormones. So it like balances the endocrine system. And that's how you say it, right? Endocrine
yeah,
system.
yep,
Yeah.
your
So
hormonal system.
yeah, your hormonal system. So it like your body's always aiming to, go to get homeostasis, like obtain homeostasis, and reishi really like balances your hormones and your mood.
Yeah. So let's talk about mood. Like I know I've seen some studies about how mushrooms can help. Obviously, we've heard about magic mushrooms and psilocybin and how they help with PTSD, depression, anxiety, stress. Let's talk about bipolar. Let's talk about schizophrenia. My youngest brother was diagnosed with schizophrenia, so that's something dear to my heart. My grandma had it too. It runs in my family. So
Okay.
having good mental health is important, and I believe the mushrooms can help with that. Now,
Yeah.
they are not a replacement for having a good health plan, of course. You can't just take someone on medication and just give them the ultimate shrooms and be like, you're good. Same thing with someone on Adderall, who's taking Adderall or Ritalin or whatever. And then we've heard stories of people replacing it slowly with the mushrooms and finding great results, anecdotally, of course,
Yeah.
because we're not doctors and we aren't allowed to make medical claims. But as someone who has known people with schizophrenia and other mental health, I also have seen and felt in myself how running boosts my mental health and my mood, and how mushrooms do. Like if I wake up really groggy, even without a cup of coffee or a espresso shot, just having the elixir or the shrooms, both of them. Notice how I mentioned both. Either one, I get like instant boost in brain activity.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the superfoods, it's definitely the nutrients, and it's definitely the mushrooms and these adaptogenic herbs like maca, and that are going in there, and they're not only helping with fertility, they're helping and with immune function, because maca is known as a fertility aid, cordyceps is known as a fertility aid. Um, they both help with over just boosting, they boost your life force. So it makes sense that they boost your mood and your brain too. I mean, I'm excited to see more studies come out, and I think that could be something cool for when I have you back in a couple of months. Is if you can, do some really deep diving, maybe even reach out to some. I know there's a mushroom guy who I talked to in Fort Lauderdale who's a psychologist. He's not an ambassador, but he's doing psilocybin studies on
Okay.
depression, and he's out of Fort Lauderdale. And I think Andrew introduced me to him. Our ambassador Andrew introduced us to him. So
Right. And
yeah,
he's a psychologist, you said?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
in Fort Lauderdale, and he's doing actual clinical trials from the government on psilocybin and depression.
Wow.
So not to get too deep into the psilocybin discussion, but since we know psilocybin is so powerful for helping people with traumatic, brain injuries and also distraught emotionally, or whatever mentally, the other mushrooms have similar functions in that they are known to boost immune function, brain health, energy levels, lower blood sugar, lower cholesterol, lower inflammation. Reishi is a powerful anti-inflammatory. Inflammation in the brain in itself is bad. You don't want inflammation in your brain.
Yeah.
So we know that reishi, Jeff Chilton, our mushroom expert, said you can take like 5 to 12 grams of reishi a day. The ultimate shrooms has half a gram in it, 3 grams
Yeah.
total of mushrooms, half a gram. You can take more mushrooms and get more of a benefit. So I think that's also a really cool um, thing. Someone was just asking what the name is of the doctor. Sorry, I don't remember his name. I could look it up in my email. Uh, if, I'll try to take a second to look it up while Melissa's talking on the next topic. I can go grab my computer, and the fire alarm's going off again for the
I
10th
know.
time. This is epic. The one time ever in Wellness Wednesday. So hopefully, can you hear it? Is it as bad on your end?
Yeah, we can hear it. I can definitely
You
hear
can
it.
hear it because I
But
have headphones on, but it's like I'm like trying to over speak louder than it, but it'll hopefully be done now. Yeah, I'll go grab my computer. But guys, this is Melissa Vargas. We still have a little bit of time left. Ask her your question. She's a recent psychology grad. She's a wellness ambassador. Melissa, tell us a little bit more about your life. Do you have any brothers and sisters? You're from Colombia? My girlfriend's Colombian. Tell us a little bit. When did you move here? Have you lived here your whole life?
yeah, I
It's a
was
lot of
born
questions.
there. You're good. I was born in Cartagena, Colombia, and I came here when I was 5. And I have 4 brothers. I have a big family. Um, I just saw Natalia put something really interesting. She said that when she got COVID, she lost her sense of smell, and she took the mushrooms every day. So definitely, like, if I were to, like, anyone who, I would suggest taking medicinal mushrooms if you get COVID and like lose your sense of taste or smell. Because it's
Yeah,
something I
there's
was
no bad
wondering. Like,
effects. We should talk about that either. There's no risk to taking mushrooms and my
yeah,
mom was a pharmacist and I'm picking her brain every week of the last 8 years since I've worked at Live Ultimate about our products and people who are on prescription drugs. And, you just don't want to take them at the same time. So, but there's no risk in taking mushrooms. There's no bad side effects like there are with pharmaceutical drugs. And I
exactly.
won't make
Yeah, it
any
wouldn't hurt.
apologies to the FDA about that. Mushrooms are 100% safe to use. Cancer patients use them. We aren't saying anything like they cure cancer. We just know that oncologists that are wise and mindful do recommend their patients to use them supplementarily with chemo, with radiation. So
Yeah, they have like anti-cancer properties and like can help reduce
absolutely,
tumor.
anti-tumor.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's really amazing. Another fascinating thing that it's so simple, but I always think about, and it just always fascinates me, is that mushrooms, like fungi, are their own kingdom. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's huge.
So like
That's that's
they
that's big.
they're their own thing. Like I don't know, you grow up and they I don't know, they don't really. I guess in my education they were just like, oh yeah, plants, animals, and
Oh, we just think of them as something on a pizza or in a soup or something that you're not really interested in. Like, but they're fascinating.
yeah, they're their own
They're in the
kingdom.
soil
What
everywhere.
are
They survive in space. I think they're going to use them to build like homes on Mars. I was reading out of mycelium. Mycelium can be
wow?
used as a building material.
Oh,
They can
that's
like
amazing.
like 3D print it or something into like buildings and like equipment and stuff like instead of using
Wow.
plastics. So yeah, mushrooms are incredible. They're their own kingdom. They're It's very rare to be allergic to them too. People say they're allergic once in a while, and I'm like, have you had a blood test? Are you sure, or is it you just don't like the way that you've had them in the past? And then medicinal mushrooms are different than culinary mushrooms. There are some culinary and medicinal crossovers, like shiitake and oyster, and there's a couple others too. But, lion's mane, for instance, is culinary. You can make an amazing pasta out of lion's mane, like red sauce, add in the lion's mane, steam it, it's very good. And you can grow your own lion's mane. You can grow your own cordyceps now with these kits at home, but they're growing them off of rice basically, which isn't the same as when they grow in the wild. Our mushrooms are wild grown and grown on wood logs, and they're grown in traditional ancient farms in the mountains by people who have been growing them thousands of years. So we know that they know exactly what they're doing, just like the best coffee and the best chocolate in the world. We have the best mushroom growers in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of that. And, they do testing. Maybe we should talk a little bit about the testing while I'm getting
The
that
third
name
party
for that.
testing?
Yeah, let's talk about the third party testing.
You said
Like,
it's taken to a lab in LA, right? Los Angeles.
well, our one of our nutritional labs is in California, but we had it third party tested, and our grower introduced us to a lab that he works with, and I believe they're in British Columbia.
Okay.
And we tested the beta glucan levels in August, and I shipped them 2 bottles of shrooms, and they found 34.7% beta glucans, and we guarantee 30% or higher. Now, we set out to create a formula that had 30% or higher beta glucans, and we did that by averaging the certificates of analysis for the 8 species because they all have different levels of beta glucans. Chaga apparently has a little less beta glucans than other species of mushrooms. I believe its COA showed like 10 to 15% beta glucans, whereas turkey tail, reishi, those were like 55% beta glucans. Cordyceps was like 33. Lion's mane was in like the 40s. Like there's a whole range from, generally 30 to 55% beta glucans by weight, with the exception of chaga, which chaga has a lot of really interesting compounds in it that I recently did a YouTube video last week on chaga as one of my topics. And you can go check it out on our Live Ultimate YouTube channel. It was 10 questions to ask about your mushroom product. And yeah, it was just like 10 questions to ask. Oh no, the reason I did research on chaga was it's a beauty nutrient. It has melanin in it. Melanin is in your skin and it protects you from the sun. Everyone has different levels of melanin.
Yeah.
Darker skinned people have more melanin. Melanin is also in chaga mushroom, and it's a beauty nutrient both externally and internally. It helps with your skin. Externally and internally, it apparently helps speed up wound healing, and it's used as a substitute for coffee in Russia and other places like Japan. It's from northern latitudes like Siberia and all these northern forests, like even Norway, like northern Europe, northern North America, northern Russia. It grows over in the Kamchatka Peninsula, which is where we collect it off of wild birch trees. Chaga is fascinating because now the reason I brought it up is because the beta glucan levels, we did this test and we found 34.7%, which is great. That means that each serving of Ultimate Shrooms has over 1,000 milligrams of beta glucans out of 3,000 milligrams, because 34.7% of 3,000 is like 1,080 milligrams or something. So it's a very large amount of beta glucans, because if you buy like something off of Amazon or any of these websites that have nutritional products, there are some beta glucan standalone products, but what they're doing is they're isolating it and they're not having it be a full spectrum product. Ours are full spectrum because each mushroom produces acids, which I think are also a big part of what we were talking about with brain health. Like lion's mane produces a certain acid, but like, let's talk about, I know a couple of names of like reishi, it's ganodermic acid because the species name of reishi is Ganodermus or Ganoderma. So it's ganodermic acid. For lion's mane, cordyceps, the species name or the genus is Cordyceps sinensis or Cordyceps militaris. The acid produced by the mushroom that goes along with, now in this case, acids are good. Acids in your stomach aren't always good. We know with certain acidic foods, and I was just reading today about bile health and how your liver produces acid that helps break down fats or something, or absorb fats. But basically, with mushrooms, they all create an acid profile that's important for the medicinal activity. And cordyceps has cordycepin acid. Chaga has betulinic acid because the genus of chaga is betula. Grows on the species of tree called betula, which is birch. Birch, the genus is betula. The acid produced is betulinic acid. So it's always tied together with either the species name of the mushroom or the host it's growing on. In the case of chaga, it grows on dying birch trees. So I think it's really incredible how these mushrooms produce a wide profile of chemicals, that are natural chemicals, and they're known to be anti-tumor, and they're known to boost brain activity. So I think, with lion's mane, it's got like a whole range of, let's go back to that one, and the mushrooms in general, 34.7% beta glucans. What's making up the rest of that 100%? Because these are hot water extracted mushrooms that go through a secondary ethanol extraction. So they go through extraction. They're not raw superfoods. And that's important to know because mushrooms inside of their fruiting bodies, that's where the medicinal properties are locked inside of something called chitin, chitin. And, eating a raw mushroom, you don't get any beta glucans apparently. They need to be cooked. They need to be boiled. The Chinese prepared them and other cultures by boiling them for hours and using ethanol or alcohol extractions. So mushrooms must be extracted.
Lindsay just asked, what does the
Yeah.
acid do? Can you give a couple examples?
Yeah. So it's basically part of the profile. Okay, so we started talking about beta glucans. Beta glucans are the most famous part of the mushroom fruiting body, and they're the most well known. They're not just from mushrooms. They're also in like oats and I think also like yeast species. Like if you look online, you can find beta glucan products. They either come from mushrooms, yeast, or oats. Those are my three understandings. They're most heavily found in mushrooms, beta glucans, and they are always inside the mushroom, but our body cannot access them either through digestion or through chewing, or it has to be through a boiling process because the chitin, the way it's been explained to me, and I did study this as well in my university time, is the chitin is like a brick wall and nothing will let it out except for boiling it, not even your stomach. So it needs to be boiled for 3 hours. All the mushrooms go through a boiling process to extract their chemicals that are medicinally active. Now, raw mushrooms have B vitamins, potassium, minerals, other, nutritional value. But when it comes to the medicinal value, it's all unlocked by a hot water extraction process. What do the acids do? I don't have an exact answer, except that if you do look up, I'm going to give you a list of some of the compounds found in mushrooms. Beta glucans being the number one. They boost your immune function, number one. They do other things too, but immune function is number one. Beta glucans just boost your white blood cell count. They modulate your immune system. If it needs a boost, they boost it up. If they need to be relaxed, it relaxes it down. If it needs a steady, long maintenance, it helps with the long road. There's ergosterol and ergothioneine are two chemicals that are also produced in a lot of mushrooms. Ergosterol, and it's a mushroom cholesterol basically. You can look it up. It has a lot of benefits for. I remember reading that it helps with men's prostate health, but there's also things it helps for with women. Ergosterol, and then there's ergothioneine, and then there's triterpenes. And reishi and chaga, I know reishi for sure has triterpenes in it. Reishi is a hard mushroom, and it needs to go through a secondary extraction process after hot water boiling of ethanol or alcohol extraction. So they always do the hot water first, and then the alcohol extraction second, is my understanding. And alcoholic extraction is the same thing that's done with a tincture. Boiling is the same thing that's done when you make a tea or a decoction, some type of a herbal preparation on the stove. These are how people extract herbs like echinacea and other, roots, vegetables, and things to get their medicinal compounds out, is they sometimes have to boil them. With mushrooms, you have to boil them because they're not a plant, they're not an animal, they're fungi, and they have chitin in their cell. They don't have cell walls. They have something similar, which is called chitin. Plants have a cell wall. Animals do too. Animals have cellulose. Mushrooms have chitin. Chitin is like a brick wall that we can't break through unless they're boiled. So that's why that's how you get the beta glucans out. So there's a big difference between a raw mushroom and a cooked mushroom. And then when in doubt, you should always cook your mushroom too, because it's going to help to get any type of bacteria off of it from the woods, or you might not want. Raw mushrooms are not really used very often, to be honest. It's more about the preparation of them, which is interesting, because with a lot of other plants, it's all about, now plants are in a different kingdom. It's all about the enzymes and the vitamins that are destroyed at boiling temperatures. So with mushrooms, it's different. But besides beta glucans, they produce triterpenes. You can look those up online. Triterpenoids, they're in reishi and other mushrooms, and they help also with immune function. They produce acids, and I mentioned a bunch of the acids, and then they produce compounds ergosterol, ergothioneine, and then each mushroom has its own like set of compounds. Like lion's mane has erinacines and heraceones, and those are what help boost the brain function. Erinacines, it's spelled Erinacines, erinacines, like the name Aaron. That comes from the species name of lion's mane, which is like Hyraceon erinaceus. Erinaceus is the genus name, is the species name, and Hyraceon, they also produce a compound called like hyraceones. Same thing with maca. It produces something called maca lactones or something. So whenever plants produce compounds, scientists name the compounds after some part of the plant or how it
Yeah.
grows or what it grows on. So it's just the classification system. Now, altogether, it's full spectrum. So the whole point is that you want to get a product or you want to grow your mushrooms in a way that they are full spectrum. That's why when you grow them on wood, they produce different compounds than when you grow them on rice. And they did a reishi study in 2016. I think this is a really cool little fun fact to add. Hey guys, what's up, friends? See a couple of new people jumped on. What's up, Jimmy? So when you grow mushrooms on wood logs, they did a 2017 or 2016 study on reishi products in the US. They found 75% of reishi products at least were not authentic. They did not have the full spectrum of compounds found in a reishi fingerprint. They do a fingerprinting of the mushroom through something called, okay, so mushrooms produce, gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. They're polysaccharides. So mushrooms, so it's called polysaccharide like fingerprinting, where they take basically it's like almost like a DNA time snap of like a snapshot, a DNA snapshot of what it is that's in this product. And they found that the bulk of products on the US market are not authentic reishi. They're not true reishi. They could be considered fake reishi. Why? Because they're grown on brown rice, and brown rice is not how they evolved to grow. They evolved to grow on hard woods. They decompose wood in the forest. Wood has different compounds. They're called precursors than rice. Of course, you can grow things on rice. Rice is full of carbohydrates, and that's what they're eating in the wood, is they're getting sugars and carbohydrates. But that's a cheap way to grow mushrooms. The studies have shown that mycelium grown on rice only has 1% or so beta-glucan levels, and fruiting body mushrooms have 30 to 55% beta-glucan levels, according to independent lab reports. So, and there's no, like, it's so common sense. Like the Chinese were not using mycelium. The Russians, Japanese, Norwegians, all these mindful cultures were using the fruiting body for thousands of years. The mycelium was underground in the dirt. How would they have used it? And nowadays, Amazon's using it. I'm sorry, Amazon, I'm throwing you under the bus, but not afraid of you guys. But at the same time, right? Not afraid of them. We got to get them doing mushrooms the right way. Let's start teaching people. I want to see the government also take a bigger stand on this. Jeff Chilton said the same thing. There's laws out there to protect people, but the government's not enforcing them. You're not allowed to call a mycelium-based product mushroom. So, but yeah, companies do, and there's no one enforcing it. So you can have a product that is 100% mycelium and has 1% medicinal value, and it can still be called and sold on the same shelf as a true mushroom, which is a fruiting body. It'd be like if you're selling the root of the apple tree in a pill instead of giving someone the real apple. I mean, that's the best way I can kind of describe it in like 10 seconds, but the apple has all the medicinal value. It's the thing that the tree works so hard to produce its whole life. Just like, reishi, it takes a year or two to grow it. Of course, you can flash grow it in a month on mycelium-based, rice, but that's not how it was grown traditionally. And that's the Amazonization, unfortunately, and it's a term nowadays, of mushroom production in sterile laboratories instead of in hoop houses with fresh air and fresh water and human beings hand cutting them. No, it's all grown in a laboratory and flash produced in huge amounts and then ground up and put into a capsule. And the third-party testing shows, and that's why this whole conversation got started about 10 minutes ago, is third-party testing is so important. In 2020, it was like the word of the year. In 2019, in 2020, the last 2 years, third-party testing. If your company doesn't have it, then they're not doing their job. They're not being transparent, and you don't know what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
So sorry, that was just my big kind of third-party, but let's kind of move on. Unless, is there anything you want to add to the third-party testing? Is there any questions you have? Or 34.7% was our big number. Also, it showed 2.3% alpha glucans. Alpha glucans measure the amount of starches in a product. Starches are primarily found in rice, not in wood. So mushrooms produce a small amount of glucose. It's like 1 or 2%, to like 2 to 3%. It's like a very small variable amount. And our mushroom expert told us that 2.3% alpha glucans is exactly where we want to be, because that's like the natural amount found in, present in mushrooms, not 80% alpha glucans. So alpha glucans are bad, but I don't like to say bad, but alpha glucans determine the presence of starches. You don't want a mushroom product filled with starches. Then you're paying for brown rice and cheap fillers. You want a product rich in beta glucans and the full spectrum of other components. Third-party testing will show the exact amount of beta glucans, the ergothione, ergosterol, any other compounds that the third-party testing picks up. Just like in CBD, you're looking for terpenes, looking for the full spectrum. That's why it's so important to do third-party testing. And the alpha glucans, that's something we don't talk about very often, but you could test other mushroom products and find a huge amount of alpha glucans if they're made on cheap mycelium. But yeah, so Melissa, you want to move on from third-party testing? We have a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you want to share today? Otherwise, as I told you, I definitely want to have you back on in the future.
Yeah,
see where
thank
where
you
your
for
life
having
takes
me.
you. Yeah.
And no, I mean that was awesome. I learned a lot about what you just said about the third party testing. Really just, thanks for having me. I mean, like this company is really special, really like you said, there's so much room for growth. We're a small company and that's really unique right now. And it's like the time to be thinking about your health and your immune health, boosting your immune health, your brain health. I wish that they made this more of a thing, like it, because we take a lot of things for our bodies, but we don't really take things for our brain. So the fact that there's like a mushroom blend out there you can take that's gonna regenerate your brain and boost your mood and all these things it's really incredible.
Have you looked into nootropics at all? I mean, it's a newer thing with supplements, is the brain
I've heard of
performance.
them, but
It's like nootropics, nootropics.
I've heard, but I
Um,
don't know what they are. Yeah.
yeah, so basically it's not always 100% natural or 100% whole foods. Like, our products are 100% superfoods and super mushrooms. They come directly from a full spectrum source. Whereas a lot of nootropic formulas, it's literally like mad scientist style, like let's take 10 random chemicals that might be isolated, or let's take 5 random things, and could be L-theanine, which I love, is extracted from green tea. So I
Yeah.
use it for my own mental health and my own, stress relief. It helps relieve tension. Um, so that is a nootropic. Caffeine could be considered a nootropic.
Okay.
Lion's mane could be considered. So we didn't talk about, but lion's mane can be actually stacked with certain things. Paul Stamets did a study. It can be stacked with, and when I say stacked, combined in a formula. But stacking is just like an interesting term they're using nowadays. But you can stack lion's mane with psilocybin and niacin, and apparently it helps with like neuron regeneration, creativity, PTSD, and a couple other like increased brain function, basically. With lion's mane at like 300 milligrams, which we have about 450 milligrams in our serving size. Now, the amount of psilocybin was very small, and it still stimulated, creative, of course, creative functions. It was a microdose. It was like 10 milligrams at like
Yeah.
1% standardized. So you stack a small amount of a very powerful medicinal mushroom like psilocybin with lion's mane. You can use more of it, and you add a little niacin in, which is a B vitamin. Apparently, it's very good for the brain. So Paul Stamets has a study on it. But yeah, as far as nootropics, it's a big field, and Live Ultimate is definitely interested in it. We're just interested in, using foods that you can trust versus like,
Yeah.
a lot of chemicals that could potentially wear out your, serotonin, or your, some type of, any type of issue in your brain. You don't want to, take too much of something. And, studies have been done on mushrooms that show you can take a lot of reishi in a day. Like I know with maca, you can just eat it by the rootful in Peru. There's no risk of overdosing. Caffeine,
Yeah.
anything over 200 milligrams is an overdose. So,
Yeah.
and that's like 4 cups of coffee. So, um, but anyways, yeah, mushrooms are safe. They're good for the brain. This is an amazing discussion today with Melissa. Melissa, let's wrap it up, I guess, unless you have any last words. You want to share a last little goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, just thank you for having me. And like I said, like you said, just hope to see the world kind of waking up to mushrooms and immune health and all these good things that we have going on.
Awesome. Well, we had a lot of people watch us today, and I think it's just up to everyone to just, share what they feel comfortable sharing, but do your own research, like I always say. And don't take anyone's word for it. Do your own research and try it for yourself. Always be skeptical, but always be open-minded too, and that's why, there's some studies that people were trying to make some quick and fast analogies with some of the mushrooms in HIV, or, like, you can't, that's, you have to have real, strong research to make hard claims on things that are very serious issues,
Yeah.
but we know that mushrooms are proven to boost immune function, so we can talk
Yeah.
about that. And we can talk about their energy, because they have athletes like Olympians take them every day. And we can talk about brain health, because lion's mane is known as a brain mushroom, and it boosts your memory, your focus, your concentration. So yeah, this is great. Take your mushrooms, do your crossword puzzles, uh, eat your avocados I was reading this morning, because they're full of fiber and potassium. Drink your elixir first thing in the morning. Keep a healthy gut. And yeah,
Yeah.
have a happy Wellness Wednesday, guys. Thanks, Melissa, for being on today.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Brandon.
please come back in the next 6 months to a year and share with us more.
I definitely will.
Okay. All right. Nice to have
Awesome.
this conversation today. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, everyone.